Hello and welcome to the CRM Zen Show, where we talk about all things Zoho. This is episode 204, Pip Pip Cheerio, recorded on June 24th, 2022 from Zenatta Consulting. I'm Brett Martin.
And I'm Tyler Colt, and let's get right on into the show.
We've got a PSA, Tyler.
That we do.
I will tell you, though, it appears that our long national nightmare is coming to an end. Zoho has just posted that they're going to be making the transition on June 26th at 8:30 p.m. Pacific time. So it looks like we're talking about bank feeds. If you haven't been paying attention, there have been some massive bank feed issues over in Zoho Books. If you are with some of the affected banks, which happen to be some of the biggest in the world, Chase, Fifth Third, Capital One, they haven't been working. And so now they have been working diligently with their provider, Yodel or Yodely, however you want to pronounce it, to get it fixed. And looks like they've got it. So, hey, next week, we shouldn't have, this could be it. This could be the last time we talk about this.
And maybe one more PSA next week to confirm that it's done and good. And essentially, it looks like, yes, they'll start on June 26th. About 48 hours, the feeds will be suspended. That probably won't matter because they're not working anyways. If you are using a bank where the feed is working, you'll have to be on the lookout for that. There might be a little period
No, I
where...
think actually all feeds are suspended for 48
Yeah,
hours.
that's what I'm thinking. Even the ones that are working right now are going to be suspended. So the good news is that even if your bank feed has always been working, they're moving to a better model anyways. So that data that comes in is going to be more accurate and going to require less manual review anyways. So altogether, a good thing. Good job on Zoho. I know they've been diligently doing this. They've been updating us super regularly. So big shout out to them. Not a small project to get it done. So good.
Yeah, I'm not certain, but I was talking with John, Director of Finance over here at Zenatta, and we think there are certain bank feeds, if you use Zoho Books, where it will not automatically refresh because it's requiring different methods of authentication. So you have to refresh, you have to put a phone number in, you're going to get texted a code, you got to put the code in. I think this is going to fix that too, Tyler. I think now,
yeah, because they're moving away from an old authentication method. Essentially, the old authentication method was like an auth token or like a user password type of setup, moving everything over to OAuth, which is the way really all API integrations are moving nowadays anyways. So yeah, it should actually make some actual feature improvements there as well as they make this change.
All right, and with that, let's head over to events and see what kind of events we've got going on. So if you are unaware, if you head over to zenatta.com/events, you can catch up on everything that's going on in the world of Zoho. As always, every Friday, or almost every Friday, occasionally we make a change at 10 a.m. Pacific time. We do this show, the CRM Zen Show. And coming up here still in June, Zoho's kind of ramped things up. We've got an overview of Zoho People, qualified electronic signatures made easy with Zoho Sign, revamp reports in Zoho CRM. A whole bunch of Zoholics are coming up. Ask the experts, focus groups, just a bunch of good stuff. I'm really impressed with the amount of webinars that are being cranked out. Some of these might be by other partners. I think most of them are all Zoho, though. And then in July, Tyler, we're going to be doing Zoho Bundles Overview. Which one is right for you in 2022? Is that a haiku? We need to check out the syllables on that. If we were to break that into 3 lines, and I think we might be able to make that a modified haiku. Anyway, we're going to go through all of the bundles in the world of Zoho there, and there are quite a few, and break them down and get to talk which one's good, which one's bad. None of them are bad, but depending on your needs, what do you want to get? How do you want to pay? What's the price breakdown? So that should be a lot of fun. We'll be doing that on what day are we doing that on, Tyler? August 16th.
Actually, that one might be for August. Yeah, that may be for August instead. I think
July
it's the
might August be 16th. So is the July one the people? No, that's not.
July looks like business intelligence.
Oh, so BI tools. Oh, Zoho BI tools full product tutorial. I imagine that's just analytics, correct? Oh, and data prep.
So. Maybe data prep, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I might sit out that one. I think you need to do it with, Greg or Lucas or someone else and
And maybe
have an
tap someone
intelligent
in.
conversation. If you want, I can just be there for witty banter, but I'm not sure what I
Yeah,
can
there you
add to
go.
that you know? We'll we'll see. All right. Let's move on to news and events. Got a bit of news this week. Or news and events, just news. All right. You now have kudos to the Zoho social team. They have done advanced statistics for all your social media posts. I actually saw this morning because one of the cool things you can do with Zoho Social, rather than just going and looking at this, which we're going to talk about now, is you can actually have them send you a PDF saying, "Hey, here's your week for each one of the services." So here's your week for Facebook and YouTube. Anyway, they have really, really, really cranked up their analytics and what they're telling you about what's going on each and every service and what your views are. And I mean, this is some really, really detailed stuff. I mean, if you're watching us on YouTube, um, how many likes did you have? How many dislikes did you have? What are your how many more shares did you have? What's your engagement level up and down? uh Really cool stuff. How many card clicks did you get? What's your card click rate? I mean, stuff that is, I think, exceptionally valuable as you kind of see, who's doing what your level of engagement is. But anyway, kudos to the team, Tyler. This is some cool stuff.
Yeah, it's a nice roll up. And the cool thing about this too is that a lot of these metrics are things that you used to have to like calculate, right? You'd have to pull all this data in analytics, right? Set up formulas and custom tables to actually parse out this info. So the fact that they're kind of rolling up like this depth of metrics for you just automatically is really nice and a huge like labor saver for you having to do this type of work yourself. So good work to the
And
Zoho social team.
fantastic. All righty. And moving on, you can now map dependency functionality in Sandbox in Zoho CRM. So, yet another step to making the CRM Sandbox more useful. If you're not familiar with this in Zoho CRM, was it Enterprise Edition and above? I think
Yep.
you have the ability to create a sandbox, which means you can make a whole bunch of changes to your CRM. Nobody sees them, they're not in production. And then when you decide everything is ready to go, you can push it live. And Tyler, we probably should do a video on pushing these things live because there is a process to doing
Yeah,
that.
there's a whole process to this. We won't go into the nitty gritty. That's a great idea for a video. There's kind of an order of operations when you push things live from the sandbox. You would think just select everything and push it, and the sandbox will do it in the correct order automatically. But it doesn't generally go quite that smoothly. So generally, when we're pushing this live, we'll kind of go section by section and kind of build it from the ground up when we're pushing live. This one here is pretty nice. So this is actually allowing you to do dependency fields inside of the sandbox. This is a big one because you definitely want to sandbox dependencies. Essentially, this is a way to say, let's say I have two pick list fields. I have customer type, and then I have engagement type. And maybe for new customers in that first one, I only want to show certain options in the other pick list. There's essentially a way to kind of filter one pick list based on an option from another. So anytime you're going to be hiding more stuff, you definitely want to sandbox it, have people play around with it first and make sure you didn't miss anything. So nice update to the sandbox. I mean, really in an ideal world, anything that you can do in production, you should be able to sandbox first. So just kind of another box that they're checking here in terms of functionality there in the sandbox.
Yep, good stuff from them. I mean, we do this all the time. We did a massive one for us internally, and there were still just two or three little things that once you pushed it, you had to rush in and do manually because you couldn't make
Yeah.
those changes. But nice improvement there. All right, and moving on, Zoho Meetings now has picture in picture. So what this really is, it's if you think a picture in picture on a TV screen, it's kind of different. But if you watching the video here on YouTube, basically when you're in Zoho Meeting now, you can now choose this picture in picture, and it basically is just going to allow it to float on your desktop, right? So it's kind of like breaking them out so they're not sitting stuck inside of the web browser you're on. You don't have to stay on that page. You don't have to stay in Zoho Meeting. You can still look at people and float them out. Again, this is something that virtually every other meeting software already has. You can do this and break them, resize the people and be looking at other things while you're doing it. So, but this is nice because Zoho, I don't believe, has a dedicated app, right? It is 100% browser based, Zoho Meeting.
I believe so. Oh no, there may be a local application you can download for Zoho Meeting. I think there is.
Is there? Okay. All right. Well, you think that might break this. So maybe this is just in the browser, but nice. Nice job, Zoho Meeting team. You've now got a pip.
I do have a quick update as well. One of our team members let us know, Brett, it was in fact a haiku. The Zoho overview, it was a haiku. Cody counted the syllables, and it is a 757.
Beautiful. Okay, let's reformat that.
Things, right? It's the little things.
Let's reformat to the proper 3 lines. Excellent. All right, and moving on with the news. You can now create stunning presentation with Pexels in Zoho Show. Pexels is another one of these free image libraries that are out there. What's the big one, Tyler, that they've had for quite a while that's integrated?
It's not Shutterstock, is it? It's
no. Someone in the chat room let us know. But there is, I believe, there's one that they've had for a while, and now they're introducing another one, which is nice. So I don't understand how these actually work. I actually went on this Pexels site, and man, it is nice. I mean, they've got some beautiful, beautiful photography on there, and it's all free. So I've never understood. I don't understand
what that model
pricing.
is.
I don't get it.
Storing a bunch of images isn't cheap. They've got to be making money somewhere.
I know. I don't get it. It's pretty. Most of them, at least there's some sort of charge. If you're using Canva to build things out, you need to pay to get the premium. They have some free stock photography in there as well, but I don't get the free stock photography thing. It's a mystery to me. But anyway, if you are a user of Pexel, it's now completely built into Zoho Show, so you can make your presentation stunning, creative, visually appealing to your audience. Isn't that what we all want?
That's all we can hope for. Yeah, just continued updates there from the whole Office team. It's so consistent. I mean, we talk about all the time, but when's the last time that something really foundationally improved in Google Drive, in Google Docs, or Google Slides? It's kind of just been the same. Not that they're bad tools, but the Zoho team just won't rest on these applications. So a big shout out for them. It's just ongoing improvements there.
And I'm pretty proud of myself, Tyler. After that, stunning, beautiful, visually appealing. I was going to go somewhere else with that, and I stopped myself. I was going to cross a line or maybe go right up to it. I just stopped myself. I'm getting better. I think the drugs are working. It's good stuff. All right, moving on. Custom layout fields are now supported in the latest version of Zoho Sprints in the iOS mobile app. Is there anything else we can say about that?
I think that title is the entire story. As always, good to have, kind of need to have anything that you can do in the browser, you should be able to do on mobile. So essentially, this is just kind of custom fields, right? So if you added a project type or sprint type, something in that line, you can now fill that in if you're creating a new project on the mobile app.
And the layouts are supported. So fields and layouts now supported. So good job for the Sprints team there. And moving right along with the news, we've got what's new in the Zoho Marketplace in May 2022. We haven't seen one of these in a while, or if we have, I don't know, my memory's gone. Yeah, I kind of went through this, scanned this morning. Wes for Zoho CRM, we've talked about that several times on the show. That's Blue Root's little builder that allows you to kind of do simple deluge type workflow functions in a more of a drag and drop manner.
It's really cool.
Yeah, really cool. And I was looking at this one. Yeah, super good stuff. This one's interesting. This is brand new. It just dropped. It's only got one review, but it's Ring Central High Volume SMS. And it's allowing you to send SMSs Ring Central through workflows and webhooks. Looks pretty cool. Might be worth checking out. So,
yeah, and this is specifically for their high volume SMS product. So it's different than your standard. Yeah, it's different than your standard Ring Central kind of like standard SMS plan. Big difference is your API limits and request queuing. We actually just had a customer. We ended up moving them over to Twilio just due to kind of better pricing on high volume. But this is kind of the difference of if you're sending out a couple prospecting texts here or there versus if you have SMS that's integrated into many different steps of your process where you're really blasting them out, where you'll need to move to one of those higher volume plans. Really cool, though, that they've got a pre-built integration for that. So kudos for the team.
And worst name, Yeastar. Sounds like it might be some sort of medication needed for that one. You got the Yeastar P series there, but that's for Zoho CRM. Anyway, there's some interesting.
There's the line. There's that line we were talking about. Just go right to it. Just right up to it.
All right. Anyway, moving right along. Zoho Notebook turns 6. 6 years to give me my CRM integration. And no, they haven't done it yet. Anyway, happy birthday to Zoho Notebook. They have made a lot of progress, a lot of changes. Really nothing to say here. If you haven't, not familiar, if you're a user of Evernote or OneNote and you're on Zoho and you've got Zoho One, you might as well go ahead and use Zoho Notebook. It is a fantastic application. And if you followed the show for many years, the one thing I've asked them to do is please make it so when I have a note, I can just go ahead and click it and associate it to the CRM and add it to the notes field. Because, the nice thing about this is you can have rich text in Notebook. You can do all sorts of things, bullet lists. And, one of the things you hear constant complaints about Zoho CRM is that the notes field is just plain text. You can't do that. So this would, I figure, be best of both worlds. So I'm hopeful, Tyler, maybe before it turns 7. That'll be what, second grade? I think by the time it goes into second grade, maybe we'll have that. All right. And then wrapping up the news, we have the ever so popular Zoho People newsletter here. This is Zoho People puts this out every month. This is their June version. If you are a Zoho People user, this is a must. It basically fills you in on everything that's happening in Zoho People. They have a webinar coming up. We talked about this earlier on the events. Anyway, it's always a very, very good newsletter and worth taking a look at.
I'll highlight one little feature ad that they did here that they snuck into the newsletter. They're now allowing you to, push your time logs from the timesheet section of Zoho People to the attendance section of Zoho People. They've essentially had these two different ways to track time. One that's kind of based on, billable hours and data from Zoho projects kind of flowing into timesheets, and then attendance more for like a clock in, clock out model. Some companies have people that might work in either of those two options, and they've kind of just been completely siloed. So the ability to push data from timesheets over to attendance means that you could actually pull all the data at the end of the day from that attendance module, regardless of where it's being tracked. So one little quality of life thing there. I know that not the most sexy and exciting update, but for the people that need that is a huge, huge feature benefit there.
Very nice. All right, Tyler. And with that, let's talk about the implementation of the week.
Yes, this is one that we actually did internally for ourselves, though I would assume that we might end up doing it for some customers as well. Basically, what this is an implementation that allows you to accept ACH payments through Zoho Books without having to do micro deposits, right, to validate their bank where, it's going to deposit 10 cents and 11 cents, and then they need to confirm that, and now they can pay with a bank. And it also doesn't require them to ever access the Zoho Books customer portal. Those are kind of the two standard drawbacks to how you'd have to do ACH without this, where you're kind of making it difficult for your customer to pay you, which is generally the opposite of what you want to do. ACH payments, of course, are really nice because you're not having to pay credit card fees, right? If you're running through Stripe or Authorize.net, you're going to be paying either a variable credit card rate or that flat, 2.9 and 30 cents. And again, kind of natively, there's just no smooth way to capture ACH through that Books and Stripe integration. But using a tool called Plaid, which we're going to talk about a little bit later, they basically provide a platform to do instant bank authorization. And so by plugging Plaid into Stripe and then into Zoho Books, you can actually set it up such that when you email a client an invoice, they'll actually have a pay with bank option that will then drive them through Plaid's UI, where they'll essentially pick their bank, enter their information, and then they can instantly submit ACH payment just directly through that payment link that gets emailed out. Huge benefit. The long story short is that this makes it really easy for a customer to pay via ACH, and will save you money in the long run paying on credit card fees. So really nice. Very easy to set up once you have a Plaid account going. Basically, just drop a couple keys into Books and set up a plug and play integration between Stripe and Plaid, and then you are off to the races. So a pretty nice one there. Go ahead.
It's pretty interesting, and going ahead and taking a look at this, and there are still some things you have to do over in Books, and it's not, you have to enable the ability to pay by check inside for every single account. So we ended up writing a little script to auto enable it. You can go ahead and mass update. I think it was at 100 at a time, right? That took a while to get that updated. But then, you wrote a nice little script. So anytime we add a new client, it automatically enables that feature. Otherwise, it won't show up on the invoice, which is what you want it to do. But
yeah, one little interesting thing there, like the script was pretty quick and painless. Probably like 6 lines of code just to auto check that box that enables bank statements or bank payments. Zoho, if you're listening, maybe make that an option. Just set it by default. Do you want to automatically just allow people to pay via ACH? It might not be a default because the normal way to do it is not very smooth compared to doing it with Plaid is extremely smooth. But if you're listening, Zoho, maybe just allow that as a default option. Worst case scenario, though, you write a quick piece of code and it'll take care of it for you.
Yeah, I actually think that it would be nice to have a default setting for payment methods, right? Because a lot of people, you've got a bunch of different payment methods. Maybe by default, you want to show these 4 or 5, and maybe you individually want to offer some other things, but you don't have that. You basically have, I can't even figure out what their default is, as to how it chooses what's going to be their default and what's not going to be their default. But either way, it's super nice. If you look at, if you're doing a high volume of business and you're running it through Stripe and you're paying credit cards, you are paying a lot of money. So it's worth taking a look at this and getting this done. So I have a feeling we'll be doing a lot of this, Tyler.
Yep.
All right, let's take a look at the implementation of let's take a look at what's over the code share of the week over on Club Zenatta. So Bruno put this one together, Tyler. It's quick and easy code to run, scheduled functions whenever you want. So
yeah, so this is a really cool one. So in the CRM, you can run scheduled functions, and we do this all the time. You can do this for kind of like regular data cleanup. You can do it for, maybe you want to auto-generate opportunities in bulk, based on updates to accounts or contacts. But essentially, the way that the scheduler works is that you're running it either hourly, every 2 hours, or daily, right? So you wouldn't be able to say just through the normal scheduler, I want to run this on the 13th day of the month, every single month. Or maybe I want to run it on, the example here would be like the first day of the quarter, or twice a year on January 1st and July 1st. So essentially what this does is it's something that you would put at the beginning of your scheduler, where every day it will check if today is the right day to do it based on some logic. And then if it is, it will proceed and run the function. So pretty flexible. You can kind of see in the structure here, like you could set whatever day you need to for this, right? Just based on your logic and kind of when you want this to run. But super slick implementation just to kind of give you that layer of control. Oftentimes have people need this kind of thing where it's like, hey, the 1st and the 15th do this thing, right? And so this essentially just gives us a way to automate that, where it's still going to check every day, and then it will only proceed if today matches the rule set that's kind of added into the code. So great code share there. Thanks, Bruno, for writing this one up. It's one that we use all the time for things that we want on a schedule, but that maybe don't need to happen every single day.
All right. With that, let's talk a little bit about Club Zenatta, shall we? If you do not know about Club Zenatta, it is our own little social gathering place where people can come together, hang out, talk about Zoho. Maybe we don't have a little dogs forum yet, but maybe we'll get one. You can talk about your pets. We don't want to discriminate. A little pets area. Talk about your pets in here. But most of the time, people are coming here to talk about Zoho, what's going on. Check out our code share library. Ask us a question, which we will then talk about on the CRM Zen Show every week. We also, all the latest news that we cover on this show, all of and more is kind of dropped into this Zoho news forum here, where you can just kind of quickly see what's going on in Zoho. Click the link, go out and view it. Head over to clubzenatta.com and join if you haven't already. We have how many members? With 323 active members right now. Thank you everybody for supporting us, and that's Club Z. Head on over, check it out. It'll be good for you, good for your family. I'm not sure how it's going to do for your stock portfolio, but that's really not what it's for. With that, let's move on to our read of the week. I'm a little loquacious today, Tyler.
You got a weird energy going today, Brett, but I like it.
I don't know what's going on. All right. This is over at HubSpot. They have one of the best blogs going for marketing and sales. And this is how to do market research, a guide and template. It is a 21-minute read. Epic is the only thing I can say about this. So anyway, what is market research? Primary versus secondary, types of market research, how to do market research, market research examples. Really great read across the board. It also comes with a download that'll guide you through all of this. I don't know who wrote this. I'll go back up to the top here because I've got to get kudos to Debbie Faresi, I guess, because this is well researched, extremely well written, well organized. It kind of covers everything you would want to know about market research and how to put it together. And I did find down at the very, very, very end, if you're watching us on YouTube, it's quite the scroll. They did some pretty nice little examples of market research. Disney used kid-centric focus groups to test new characters and ideas. KFC tested its meatless product in select markets before it launched it nationwide. That should have been tested it before they pulled it from the market nationwide. Anyway, Yamaha conducted a survey to determine whether they should use knobs or sliding faders on their Montage keyboard. Anyway, cool stuff. Good read, and I recommend you check that out. And the link will be in the show notes over at Zenatta.com, or if you subscribe to our newsletter, you'll get it in there. And with that, I guess, Tyler, anything you want to say about that other than Epic?
No, I think the last thing there is it does also have a little kit that you can download. They're probably going to want your email for it, but as they oftentimes do, they're kind of including a little worksheet and kit for you to run some market research off of. So a nice little value add there if you're willing to give them your email address.
Just make one up. All right. And then with that, let's head over and find out what's going on at Zenatta. So Tyler and I this week did our full campaign, Zoho Campaigns full product tutorial. We went through everything, and basically this campaigns, we brought it in at 1 hour, I believe exactly, Tyler. If you want to know about Zoho Campaigns, there were a lot of changes in this last few months, and we've covered all those. The last one we did on Zoho Campaigns was all the way back in 2020. So there was a lot of new stuff we needed to dig into here and cover. And we've got a little blog post, takes you through kind of the highlights of it and what we did there. But worth watching that video if you haven't seen it and you're using Zoho Campaigns, what they've got going around with segments and topics, and the way the syncs work now. There's just a whole lot of changes that you want to dive into.
Yeah, there's a lot of differences there. So the big stuff we cover here is the new CRM integration, which is a core part of the Campaigns product. as well as topics, which are kind of a new element there that you'll need to take into consideration. And then lastly, some of the things there, creating your different segments, associating segments with topics. And then lastly, actually getting some emails out the door, both manually and with an automated drip. So if you are getting started with campaigns, or maybe you've been using it for a while and you're about to bump over to the newer version of some of these new tools, definitely worth taking a look at there.
Yes, and as always, if you want to know all of our resources, if you head over to Zenatta.com and click on our resource library, there we have every Zoho application. And if you click into that application, we will all the various tutorials and articles and everything we've done on it. They're all linked there, so it's kind of a quick way to get information on an app that you may be using or just learning. And with that, guys, let's head over to our app of the week, or pick of the week. So Tyler, this ties into the implementation of the week, and our pick of the week is Plaid. Not to be confused with the Tesla S-Class Plaid, which does 0 to 60 in 1.9 seconds. No, this is the financial gateway. So they've got a ton of products over here. If you are using an online banking software and your bank feeds are being fetched, this is one of the main companies that does that. They have just so many products. That's your authorization. You want to check balances in real time. You want to verify identity. Plaid does it all. What we're talking about here, though, is their authorization application. And Tyler, all we really had to do here was get some API keys, connected. What took them a day to approve us on this, I think.
Yeah, you do have to submit a form with them to get approved, right? To actually use a production account. They have to do that because you're connecting into bank data, so they have to make sure that you're a real business, right? You're not super shady. They're really quick about it, though. It doesn't take long at all. I filled out the form, I think, in the evening on a Tuesday, and Wednesday morning they had us reviewed and approved. Something about a 1-day turnaround there. And then, yeah, once it was installed, and specifically this is on the Zoho side, there's a lot you can do with custom API into Plaid. But on the Zoho side in Books and Stripe, I mean, it was just plug and play. And the minute that they activated the production account, it just started working. So awesome tool. It's used by big enterprises as well as companies that just want this functionality, and it's very fairly priced as well. I think they're charging us $1 to authenticate the bank, and then just like some tiny fees. So compared to your 2.7 or 2.9%, save a whole lot of money if customers will ACH you instead.
If you haven't seen anything like this before, when a person says they want to pay by bank, basically, rather than paying ACH by saying, "Great, give us your routing number, give us your account number," and then you in those kind of cases, you usually have to do some verification deposits and withdrawals and those
Micro
kind of things.
deposits. Now you're
Micro
waiting days
deposits.
for those, and it's just not
Yeah.
what you want.
What this basically does is you actually log in through the secure gateway into your bank, and it says what account do you want, and it tells you what the balance is in that account. You say, I want to pay out of this account, and then the bill is paid and the ACH transaction is initiated. Very slick, very inexpensive, and they've got a whole bunch of stuff here. But for what we're talking about with Zoho, this is what you need. It's the authentication product over in Plaid. So check that out if you want to implement ACH transactions in Zoho Books. There you go. All right, with that, let's get on to the tip of the week. Tyler did his own mini webinar here, 26 minutes and 24 seconds, getting started with Bigin. You were pretty impressed. It seemed like after you'd done this and talked about it, I don't think you'd spent a whole lot of time with Bigin until you dug into this. And
yeah, I was really impressed by the product. I mean, again, like Bigin is kind of their lightweight CRM, right? It's not made to do everything that the flagship CRM can do. But you can get in there, you can add fields, you customize all your multiple pipelines, right? The UI of it is great. It's more in line with like a Pipedrive or HubSpot, where timeline is kind of front and center, right? So rather than having a bunch of fields, it's more important to know what emails have gone out, what communications have been had. But yeah, I mean, it's just really slick. It's easy to set up. there were a lot of things that it kind of just does for you right out of the gate. So, if you add a new pipeline, immediately your Kanban view gets a filter for those multiple pipelines, right? Just nice things like that. They do have a pretty similar workflow engine as well. So setting up automated reminders or emails is really easy to do. I really liked the way I'm kind of raving about the product now, but I like the way that they manage products in your deals. If you've ever played with the native products connection to deals in the big CRM, it's pretty much useless. You're really just associating products, but you can't associate the quantities, the specific price you're selling. Here, they kind of built in a native little subform. So if you wanted to do some like lightweight quoting out of the system, it's pre-built for you. So definitely worth checking out. It's a cool tool. It syncs with the full CRM. So if you wanted something lightweight to use for your sales team, which is going to push all of its data up to the flagship product, you can do that too. So definitely worth taking a look at there. It's included with Zoho One, and pretty easy to get going with.
Yeah, it's a modern lightweight CRM. Very kind of like Pipedrive and one of those. And I do think that's for most of our users. We don't have a standalone Bigin install. I don't think, do we?
Mm-mm.
It, it's
No, I
always
don't think
I've
so.
got CRM. We have salespeople out in the field. We enable it for them. We have it syncing with the CRM, so you're kind of doing it that way,
Yeah.
and it works and it's good. I mean, I kind of wish there's a lot of these UI improvements. I'd love to see them move over to Zoho CRM
Even
in
just the
general.
search. Zoho, if you're listening, just take the search that you added to Bigin and or Recruit and please put it inside of Zoho's flagship CRM. There's such a better search tool, and it pains me every time I see it in one of these applications because it's so good and it's so not in the CRM.
And as always, these tips, all of our videos, you can find them over at youtube.com/Zenatta. We post a whole lot of content, and just is more than pretty much anyone out there, including Zoho, on a weekly basis. So head on over, check it out, and hopefully you will find it useful. And with that, Tyler, let's get to some Q&A, shall we? All right. Our first question comes from over at Club Zenatta. And basically, Yannick wants to know, Tyler, he's looking for best practices to manage web to leads and possible duplicates. We have multiple web forms on our website connected to my Zoho CRM via API. When visitors are submitting a form, I wanna, by the way, new word, if you're listening, Webster's, add I wanna to the English dictionary. I like that. Anyway, I want to create leads and assign them to the right user depending on the from source or topic using an assignment rules or a workflow. I have the following concern. For each form submission, the visitor's email can be unknown to my CRM, already associated to a lead, already associated to a contact. In cases 2 and 3, I don't want to duplicate by creating a new lead, but I still want to be able to collect the online request and assign it to a CRM user. I also want to keep track of offline requests history on a lead or contact CRM record. Has anybody been through this challenge? Shall I better use web case? Anyway, Tyler, what's the answer to all of this?
Yeah. So in essence, well, this is a pretty common thing. You might have different leads or contacts coming back to the site more than one time and filling out forms. What we'll generally use is more in the line with what you're kind of thinking with a web to case, except I don't like the native CRM cases module very much. So oftentimes I'll create a custom module. I'll call it something like requests or oftentimes like inquiries, right? And you actually want to point your forms there. Couple ways to do this to make sure that you don't get duplicate records. And it kind of just depends on how you have your web forms tied in via the API. If you've built a custom API, then you can change that integration and actually take the email address, search in the contacts, right? If you find a contact, create an inquiry record underneath it and assign that out. If you don't find a contact, you'd move to leads, search leads. If you find one, right, make the inquiry. And then only if you don't find anything in contacts and leads, then you would go ahead and make a new lead. If you're using something like Zoho Forms or anything that plugs into Zoho Flow, it's really easy to do this with like the drag and drop elements. Otherwise, you'll just need to tweak your existing API integration to do those fetches first. But yeah, Yannick, you're not alone. This is a common thing. It happens to some people more than others, just based on the nature of your business, and it's definitely solvable. You got to tweak your integration so that before it adds anything anywhere, it's doing some searches on email and then proceeding based on some logic. But definitely doable, and it's something that we've done oftentimes for clients.
All right, next question. So, Nico, after watching Introduction to Zoho Desk Tickets, he says, thanks for the video. Is there an option for a department to see only the tasks on the tickets and not the entire conversation I have with the customer? Tyler did a little research on this before the show, and yes, it is possible, but we want to ask you, Nico, if they didn't have the context of the conversation, how would it work? But you actually can hide all tickets, huh?
Yeah, so to do it, what you would do is you'd go into the settings, and under the permissions and security settings, you need to set up a profile that has tickets disabled. So you can actually have tickets disabled, but tasks enabled. And then they could just go to the tasks section at the top of the screen and work from there. We'll say generally desk works best when they're able to see the context of what's going on in the ticket. But from a technical element, you could actually set it up this way just based on a profile.
All right. And then IWP India Writing Project says, thanks, Wayne. After watching the how to set up UTM tracking for Zoho Forms, it has been truly enlightening watching this video. I want to know if the same process can be followed for Facebook ads as well, since it doesn't seem to be working for me. And team did a little research on this. And in fact, over in Facebook and Facebook ads, you can actually build your URL parameters. You can build all your UTMs. And as long as the UTMs are the same as you have over in Zoho Forms, you are good to go. So just head over to Facebook and build your URL and UTM parameters there, and you should be all set. All right, and then Evergreen Investments asks, we would like to build an email bar chart that would visualize data within the CRM in specific fields. Is there a best case process to build dynamic visuals that can be embedded into a client's email? So far, I've been researching Zoho Sheet, Zoho Show, Zoho Analytics to reflect this bar chart, but nothing seems to explain how to. There's nothing really native to do this. There are two ways of doing it, though, Tyler. We've used both, depending on what our clients need.
So one of the ways to do it would be to reference Zoho Analytics. A little bit tricky. You essentially would have to pass a parameter and pre-filter and download a certain dashboard or report, and then embed it into the email as like an inline PDF so that it shows in the body. Oftentimes how we do it though is we'll actually reference either, the CRM or maybe analytics to get the data. And then we'll take that data and wrap it in HTML inside of the code itself and send the email that way. Generally we go for option 2. It really just does depend on exactly what you're looking to send out. But yeah, there is a way to do it, but neither of them are going to be native. Both of them are going to require some relatively intensive deluge code to be able to grab that chart element or create it on the fly and then send it out via a CRM email.
Fantastic. All right, everybody. That is going to wrap up our show. Episode 204 is in the books. As always, if you have any questions or comments, please head over to club.zenatta.com. You can leave your questions there. And if you want to get in touch with us, head over to zenatta.com.
And on the website is where you'll find complete episodes of the show, as well as links to all the stories we discussed today. We'd love if you would follow us on your favorite social media platform and subscribe to us here on YouTube, as well as your choice of podcast app. We'll see you next Friday.
Beautiful. All right, Tyler, here we go. I could go. Are you ready?
That song's going to be stuck in my head for today.
Zoho Bundles Overview. Which one is right for you in 2022?
That's too funny. That's right. I love that.
See you next week, everybody.